Let's quickly look at how to conduct template analysis. Template analysis represents an approach to analyzing data from interview transcripts. Using the template analysis method, a researcher first comes up with the template that will be applied in analyzing all their data. The template will be made up of predetermined themes that a researcher will want to find in their data. Mainly, the themes are predetermined based on a researcher's objectives or research questions. Because of the establishment of a predetermined template of themes before conducting analysis, the template analysis approach is therefore also known as the codebook approach. Just like the codebook approach, the template analysis approach is therefore a deductive approach to conducting thematic analysis. Deductive means that researchers will rely on predetermined themes to analyze their data and look to fit the qualitative data from the interviewees into such predetermined themes. During the template analysis approach, a researcher analyzes few of their transcripts, such as 3 out of 15 transcripts, and 6 to revise and modify their template accordingly before analyzing the rest of the transcripts. The steps involved in template analysis therefore include: number 1, transcribing and familiarizing oneself with the interviews; number 2, defining a priori themes, which is coming up with predetermined themes; number 3, conducting initial coding on a subset of transcripts and matching some initial codes to the predetermined themes; number 4, reviewing the initial coding and revising the predetermined themes to effectively match the initial codes generated from the transcripts; number 5, coming up with an effectively developed template of predetermined themes with clear description; number 6, applying the final template all the transcripts, which is the full data set, during the coding process; number 7, utilizing the final template to interpret and write the findings report. Now, it's important to maintain reflexivity and to conduct reflexivity tests during template analysis to ensure that the data is not significantly distorted by the assumptions and preconceptions of the researcher. Let's conduct template analysis on some transcripts using the steps that we just highlighted above. The first step in conducting template analysis is transcribing and familiarizing oneself with the interview transcripts and also the interviewees and the whole interview process. This is my transcript. Normally, when you're conducting research, you go collect data, then you transcribe the data. You can use software or you can do it manually. I prefer to use software. For instance, Otter AI or any other software that you might prefer. After you transcribe, you go through the transcripts one by one, reading through them, making corrections on any grammatical mistakes or issues that the AI missed. While doing this, you will read through the transcripts, proofread and edit them. This helps in familiarizing with the transcripts adequately. Now, it's important to first familiarize with your transcripts so that you can understand the main issues of discussion and compare the information from the transcripts with the research objectives or research questions you want to answer. This will help you to determine the main issues in your research study so that you can move to the second step of template analysis, which is coming up with a priori themes. A priori means before. In template analysis, we have to determine the themes we want to explore before the analysis. What does that mean? For instance, in this case, we have a study titled Challenges in Managing HIV and Non-Communicable Diseases and Health Workers' Perception regarding integrated management of non-communicable diseases during routine HIV care in South Central Uganda. And this is a qualitative study. Just by reading this title, going through this transcript to familiarize myself, reading through it like a story, I was able to come up with these 3 a priori themes. So the themes I found and the main research questions that this researcher wanted to answer related to determining the common non-communicable diseases among patients with HIV, determining the health system challenges in managing HIV and non-communicable diseases, and then evaluating the health workers' perception of integrated management of non-communicable diseases in HIV care. These are the 3 things the researcher wanted to find out from the interviews and from the research objectives. These 3 issues are the main themes I want to find in the data. Remember, in template analysis, we come up with the themes first. We develop the themes a priori before we go and look for data to fit into the themes. So the second step of template analysis is going through your research background, your research objectives and research questions, and developing themes a priori or before you conduct the analysis. And that's what I've done.
Let me interrupt this video for a minute and inform you of my services. My first type of service that I offer is consulting for anything related to qualitative data analysis using NVivo. You hop on a video call with me through Microsoft Teams or Zoom, and I will help you become a pro with NVivo in a few hours. I also provide a done-for-you data analysis service. I do the manual coding and provide a data analysis report with the necessary visuals. Some kind of visuals I do include tables, hierarchy charts, and the framework matrix. Email or message me right now. Details in the description.
Now, the next step will be trying to find initial codes to match with the developed themes or a priori themes. That is the step where we go to NVivo. I'm going to open NVivo and go to new project and call this templates analysis example. Click on next. Now NVivo opens like this. As a beginner, you should only focus on the file and codes section. In the file section is where we are going to import our transcript. And in the code section is where we are going to generate our initial codes. And even this is where we are going to fit our themes that we developed a priori. And then fit the codes into those themes. I will show you practically how to do that. Here is my transcript, which I intend to analyze. I'm going to drag and drop it inside NVivo. Remember, we are in the file section, so I drop it in this blank space, okay? And then this is the transcript I'm going to analyze. Because we are conducting template analysis and we have developed the themes a priori, for example, you have theme 1, common non-communicable diseases among patients with HIV. We are going to import these themes, and in the code section, even before I go to that specific place, I can call this version 1. Just a folder to put all my data, okay? In version 1, I can go to right click inside now this folder, go to new code and paste this. That is theme 1, okay? And we can also copy them to new code and paste. And we can also go to theme 3, copy that, new code, theme 3. These are the 3 predetermined themes. And this is where I'm going to fit the data. So basically, I'm going to go to the file section, open the file, which I just imported, go to the themes that were developed a priori. Remember, we can right click on every theme and go to code properties. And we can even add a clear description for every theme. And we should practice that. For example, common non-communicable diseases among patients with HIV. This represents the most prevalent non-communicable disease among patients with HIV. Then let's go to code property. Let's have the second one. We can add a description and for the third one. And all the themes you have, maybe you have 4 or 5 themes. Now remember, this is template analysis. We are going to get codes and fit them into already predetermined themes. Let's start with this section. Kindly share the common non-communicable diseases that you manage at the hospital. Remember, this interviewee was interviewing healthcare practitioners who attend to patients with HIV. And this is a focus group where they were interviewing different people. So we are going to get a lot of data. And for the purposes of this video, I'm going to give an example with this section. Now, we are trying to conduct template analysis. Template analysis is about developing a priori themes and then fitting your data into the already predetermined themes. In this case, I'm going to code this section, and a code is a label or an interpretive statement of information that's important to my research question. So by coding, we are just labeling or interpreting important sections of our transcripts. Let's read this section and develop some codes. Kindly share the common non-communicable diseases that you manage at the hospital. Now this person says, in our healthcare setting, We routinely encounter a diverse array of chronic conditions with a particular prevalence of cardiovascular conditions, notably hypertension. The incidence of high blood pressure is notably frequent, constituting a significant portion of patient population seeking medical attention at our hospital. We can start here and code all this area and call this high blood pressure or hypertension. I highlight that section, drag and drop in the blank area. I call this high blood pressure and click OK. So this code is developed in this area. I have to drag and drop it inside the theme so that, and then click on the plus and you can see I'm getting codes to support my predetermined themes in template analysis. Basically, template analysis is about developing themes, then going to your data and finding codes to support the themes. That's high blood pressure. Then while we do receive individuals with other chronic conditions such as heart diseases, diabetes, cancer, and kidney diseases. Let's look at this, such as heart diseases. Another way to code, rather than dragging and dropping everything here, you can right click and go to code selection and then click inside the theme and then select child code. And for this, I'm going to see, because this person is talking about heart diseases. So another common non-communicable condition among HIV patients is heart disease. I want to edit here, heart disease. That's another way of coding, and that one goes directly. So this one reduces the steps of coding rather than dragging and dropping and dragging and dropping. Actually, this one we can create and code this in NVivo. NVivo means the code is developed directly from the words that are used in the transcript. That code is placed in the main folder. I'll have to drag and drop it inside my version 1 folder. Then we can right click, go to code properties, delete that and make this as a capital letter, diabetes, and then drag and drop that in here. Then we have cancer. This one can also be an NVivo code. Right click, select code NVivo. And although that goes to the codes area, we can always go select the codes area, then click on the select the codes area, drag and drop the code, drop it in the version 1 folder, then select the code and drop it here. So I can also go to the main theme now after getting some codes inside, select aggregate coding from children, and that's what we have. You can see we have started getting information to support our main theme. Common non-communicable diseases among patients with HIV. We have cancer, diabetes, heart disease, and high blood pressure. We got all those codes from our interview transcripts. Another disease we can see is kidney diseases. I can highlight this section, right click, go to code NVivo. The code will be brought in the main codes area. Then I can drag and drop this inside the folder called version 1. Then I can drag and drop it inside the folder or the theme called theme 1. So kidney diseases. That's another common non-communicable disease among patients with HIV. Then watch this. It's the prevalence of hypertension that stands out prominently in our patient demographic. This consistent influx of clients with hypertension underscores the significance of addressing and managing this particular condition within our healthcare facility. You see, hypertension is very prevalent. So this information is important. If I wanted to code this hypertension, remember hypertension is the same as high blood pressure, I would highlight all that information. If I want to add information into already developed code, I highlight it, I drag and drop it inside the high blood pressure section. And if we double click on the codes, you can see the codes we are getting to support our codes. Okay. So you can see, for example, here we have 2 codes that support that high blood pressure is a very prevalent non-communicable disease among patients with HIV. I want to keep skipping because this patient or this interviewee is repeating themselves. We can see another interviewee. This is a focus group, remember. They say high blood pressure is common among patients living with HIV. If you have a second person, if you are coding, talking about the same codes you have already developed, how do you solve that? Remember, I highlight the section high blood pressure is common among patients living with HIV. Then I drag this and drop this inside the code I had already developed for high blood pressure. Let's look at another participant talking about the common non-communicable diseases among patients with HIV. in my capacity as a trained and certified counselor, I regularly engage with clients facing blood pressure related issues. You see, this person also has encountered a lot of patients who have high blood pressure issues. So high blood pressure related issues. Drag, drop that. Then we can see our clients exhibit a higher prevalence of mental health conditions, with depression emerging as a prominent concern among this patient. We can highlight this section, right click, another way of coding, go to code selection. Remember, we click on the new theme, then we click child code and call this depression or mental health issues, or specifically depression. Then click here, code selection to new code, and you see we have added the code of depression. Basically, that's how we fit information into already predetermined themes when doing template analysis. I can put some few codes also in the second theme for you to understand more. Health system challenges in managing HIV and NCDs. Kindly share the challenges managing HIV and NCDs. So, what are the codes that we can fit into this theme that we have already predetermined? We experience multifaceted challenges during the management of both HIV and NCDs. Several issues include the intricate task of handling adverse events, the overwhelming workload. Let me highlight this area and say challenges in managing HIV and NCDs is this one. Remember, this is in theme 2. I select theme 2. I select child code. I want to call this challenges handling adverse event. Challenges handling adverse events. I want to go to theme 2 and open, and you can see that's the code I just made. The overwhelming workload, okay? Actually, I can code this as NVivo, but let's just go to select, code selection, select theme 2. I want a new child code called overwhelming workload. Click code selection. Then the communication gap between specialists and lower kiddo health workers. So communication challenges, this whole one. So right click code selection, theme 2, child code. And let's call this communication challenges or communication issues among health workers. You can see the codes I'm developing here. Now, if you want to edit any code, you can right click. For example, I can see I have a misspelling here. Right click, go to code properties, and you can write here challenges handling adverse events. And also, if you want to add a description, remember you have to add clear descriptions for all the themes when you are doing template analysis before you begin coding, okay? So again, right click, go to code properties, you can put a description here. Now, another code here, limited financial and human resources. This one I can right click and I can code NVivo. NVivo codes go to the codes folder, the original, the parent codes folder by default, and we can drag and drop them inside where we want. This is the limited financial human resources. I drag and drop it inside theme 2. Then I can go to code properties and I can capitalize limited financial and human resources. Health system challenges in managing HIV and non-communicable diseases. Basically, these are the codes for that. Then I can right click here and go to aggregate coding from children just to add up all this information. You can see we have 4 references. What are references? The references are the participant quotes that we have coded. If I double click on the main beam and look at this section, you can see all the participant quotes. And if you look at this theme, you can see all the participants quotes. If you count them, these references, they are 9, and you can see NVivo has numbered them up to 9. So 9 participant quotes supporting the common non-communicable diseases among patients with HIV. And what are those? Cancer, depression, diabetes, heart disease, high blood pressure, and kidney diseases. Basically, the common non-communicable diseases among patients with HIV, these are the codes that we got to support the theme we predetermined or the theme we developed before. And these codes are the interpretation to this data. The second one, we still did the same. These 2 are enough examples. Now, what we have to do in template analysis is go to the next step, which is reviewing these codes and ensuring that our template is well defined, okay? Our template will be made up of all the themes. We have to ensure that the codes that we get relate to the theme that we predetermined. We will have an opportunity to revise the themes to make them more accurate, and then say that those themes will be our final template that we are going to use to fit all the codes. Now, as you can see, I went in there and tried to get the initial codes to revise the themes and to fit all the data inside the themes. As you can see, all the data, I fitted it inside the themes, and to predetermine the themes and to review them. So these are the predetermined themes, and if you right click, I went and put clear descriptions for each theme. So for template analysis, you get all the descriptions for each theme, and now you go and fetch the codes. I went into the whole focus group. If you look at the transcript section, you can see 70 codes, 210 references. I got all the codes and fitted them into my main themes that I had developed or that I had come up with initially, which were these three main themes, as you can see. After fitting all the codes into the themes, we again revise the codes, and now we have the final work. When I find a pattern of shared meaning between the codes, I can group them together. So, for example, for non-communicable diseases, I found a pattern of shared meaning including cardiovascular conditions for heart disease and hypertension, mental health conditions including depression, and metabolic conditions such as diabetes, hyperglycemia, and kidney disease. These three conditions became sub-themes and then the codes under them. Also, for the second theme, I got as many codes as possible to support my main theme. And for the third theme, I had negative perception and positive perception, because the workers were giving either a negative or a positive perception of this integrated management of non-communicable disease in HIV care. Basically, template analysis is simply determining the themes and then finding codes to match to the themes and then revising the themes and then ensuring that you get codes from all your... After revising the themes, getting sub-themes and getting the codes from all your transcripts, now you just move to writing your findings report, and that's what I did with this report. Basically, template analysis is getting themes a priori or having predetermined themes, which mainly come from your research questions and research objectives, and then going to your transcripts or interview, finding data, encoding that data, and then fitting or matching the codes to the right themes. And finally, you revise and you review the codes and you write the findings report, such as this report. I've previously talked about these tables and how I got them. This kind of visual, it's called a mind map. We draw that in NVivo. Please make sure you also watch my past video on codebook approach, which is really similar, or it's another name for template analysis, because template analysis and codebook analysis basically entail coming up with themes, which is the main codebook or the template, and then fitting your data into the already predetermined themes. That's what I have. I'm going to attach this findings report, this NVivo, and any other resources I got from NVivo. For instance, we can go to this place in NVivo. Let's control A, export list, and we can get a code list. And this code list is this one, which I'm going to share with you so that you can see what I did and the structure of this. And then there is another resource we can export. You can go to share, export codebook, and we can have the codebook as seen here, or this is the codebook that I'm going to provide. Basically, this is how you conduct template analysis using NVivo. Remember, I provide done-for-you data analysis services and consulting services for any problem or challenge related to NVivo. Check the link and email in the description and talk to me right away. Thank you.